Mahalo, David. Once again, next up we have Roger Cloping and Larry Peebles. Yep. We're doing pretty good on time, folks, if I can say. We've got about 14 people left and about 25 minutes, so thank you for being considerate.
We gotta go up. We gotta go up. Aloha, kako. Let's see. Yeah, well, I'll hold it like this. Anyway, for 40 years of my life, I have been a safety professional. I have been involved in multiple EISs, multiple EAs for the federal government, state of California, and my own consulting company. I am sorry to say, never read such an egregious, verbose, repetitive EA that has said nothing. In there, they talk about public health and safety. Not one word was assessed on fire protection, especially on the finger pier. There is numerous cases, including the Seattle fire, the Havana fire in Virginia. 42 boats were lost, mainly because they were stacked right on top of each other. And that's what the finger pier is like. Now, we talk about a cultural problem. If you have an onshore breeze, a fire starts in that finger pier area, it's going to affect the cultural home of Kamehameha III. Thank you.
I'm Larry Peebles. I'm a general surgeon in this town, been here a long time. I am in favor of the DLNR. I bet you that's interesting for you folks. I've taken care of a propeller injury last month. I take care of boating accidents. I see them at the hospital all the time. And I'm in full support of making a lane, a safety lane, where people don't get run over by boats and run into canoes and those other sorts of problems. We live in that pink house on Halua Road. You see my boat parked in the driveway where it's been there for about 11 years now. It says Popeye on the back. And I've been trying to get a mooring for a long time. It's probably the hospital. Hang on one second. Okay, I'm back. They'll hold pressure on it until I get there. You talk about the environmental impact. Well, yeah, I've got that double-ender 27-foot Coast Guard lifeguard boat that I've converted, and hoping that I could have a recreational mooring where I could get out on the water a couple times a week without having to tow the boat because it's too long because of mainly my hospital commitments. And you talk about environmental impacts. Well, you know, what about 600 people in your neighborhood driving their cars all the time? That's an environmental impact. How would any of you like to have 600 people come into your neighborhood and park around the streets and do that kind of stuff? And I don't mind, but I just think that adding a few moorings to the bay, I don't understand how that could be relevant. Why? Well, you're 600 users. We put up, what, 6 or 7 more boats. That's less than 1% of the users. And I would, if I'm lucky, I'll get out on a recreational mooring. If I'm lucky, I'll get out twice a week. And I don't see that as a big environmental impact. That house that I referred to has been there since 1960-something. It's in my wife's family. And we've seen a lot in the bay. I've dove in that bay back in the early 80s. And the bay has changed significantly in those 35 years. The bottom of the bay, if any of you snorkel or go and look, you'll see it's got about 1.5 feet of sand on it, and underneath that is lava rock. And there's not much left in the terms of coral heads either. Those of you that have helped clean up the bay, You'll have seen all the coral heads that were washed up onto the shore after the tsunami, and they were just thrown into the brush. And if you go down there now, there's not a lot of coral heads. The bay is basically like Kailua Bay underneath. It's done. There's no saving the bay unless we get human beings out of it. That's a lot of canoes, that's a lot of boats, that's a lot of fair winds, that's a lot of tourists. We're not going to go back that way. But I think having the boats aligned in a way that is safe and that other people can use the bay, don't get mad, but it's not just the canoe club bay. And so I think that if they align the boats properly, and I agree, they all should be on the south side. I went and measured the depth on the side of the pier at low tide, and I got 5 feet. My clearance is 2 feet. I've pulled back there many times, taking my boats, when I trailer my boat in, I go into that little inlet and go out, mainly because my boat's hard to back up because it's a double ender, if any of you have ever tried that. So I think that there's room for all of us, and I think we ought to let these people do their jobs. It's sort of like people telling me how to do surgery. I think they've done okay. I think they obviously need community input, and I think that if we work together, we can work it out, and that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Doctor. Moving on, we have Mr. Craig Watson and Chad Walter. Craig Watson?
Well, thank you. My name's Craig Watson, and thank you all you guys for coming and helping protect my inlet. And I know all of you individually think of it as your inlet because we all play on it in our different ways and our different styles, whether it be trailer boating and fishing or paddling. The only things that I haven't seen covered here, and that's all I'm going to cover, is I had the honor of reading through the Army Corps of Engineers Harbor Design document, which is boringly titled EM 11-10-2-16-15. So you can take that home and remember that, and you can read it yourself. None of the things that they're doing here will meet the Army Corps of Engineers standards. There are no, where the trailer boats come out, for example, needs a 40-foot turning basin. The last boat in that line blocks that turning basin, and it makes it really unsafe. And a lot of us that trailer boat out there have waited up to 20 minutes for the tourist rubber boats to get their people and drop them off and have to circle out there, and those boats are, in fact, in the way of that. So whichever design is your preference, which seems to be the south side alignment of the boats, those don't meet the Army Corps of Engineers design. So there was a Harbors Act passed that says that every harbor in the United States has to be approved by the chief engineers of the Army Corps of Engineers. This design basically doesn't meet that, and I don't know where they come with any more information for that. Also, this is in fact a funnel inlet, and because it funnels this way, we get reflected waves that come back out, and according to the Army Corps of Engineers, in a design like that, you need a breakwater on the outside to protect the wave action. And so, it doesn't meet the aspects of a proper harbor. And the last thing is, under Coast Guard rule, it doesn't meet any of the buoy requirements, which I'm sure you've seen other places where there is no buoys that say no wake zone, swimming zone. If we decide to go with one of those south side alignments where we have swimming, canoeing, and paddling on one side, they need also to add buoy system up there to keep the boats separated from the swimmers coming down the channels. So my point is that as much as we're hitting the EA and everything, that the basic design doesn't meet the standard of the Army Corps of Engineers or the Coast Guard, which is going to open them up for a lot of litigation. And guess where the money for that litigation will come from? Our tax dollars. So thank you very much.
After Chad Walter is Dennis Mihalka and Bobby Command. Mahalo.
Aloha. My name is Chad Walter. I'm a registered architect, engineer. I've had a practice for over 30 years with a very large firm that I own. I'm also a boater, and I've had a fair amount of open ocean experience. When I take a look at this particular report, I am absolutely shocked at the consultants that you hired. This firm is a major international firm that does superior work. And they are able to do far better work than they did for you guys. If you have been in that bay during major times of weather and waves, I too have seen the waves when we get a south storm go over the hotel, over the Sheraton. That is a significant wave. If your consultants had come out and studied that bay, and a reference to a funnel in which we have an enormous composition of energy coming through a funnel, is called constructive interference. You will know that you could not lay out a mooring plan like you're presenting here. I have emailed your consultants, Anchor QAE, and suggested that they pull their work from your hands. Because where is the liability? I know liability. You don't think that this firm is going to put its professional liability behind your plan, do you? We have had boats damaged, destroyed, we have people injured, and we have deaths that have occurred in that bay. Okay? This plan does not even recognize that reality. You don't have a consultant anymore that will stand behind you with their liability insurance. So where do you go from here? It's been recommended, understandably from you people, I've heard by rumor, that anyone who moors in that bay will sign a release. Why, an attorney with a modicum amount of experience can go through that like a hot knife going through soft butter. We do not require our motorists in this state to sign a release before they use our highways. How do you think you're going to get signed releases from people using the moorings? The last chance you have for liability is for you people in the DNR to stand up on your own two God-given feet and you personally sign for the liability in that bay if you are so determined to push through a plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Again, Dennis Mihalka, followed by Bobby Command. Mahalo.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, representatives, for being here tonight. We appreciate you. We need to send a message to the governor because all of Hawaii is going to be impacted by this, because this is step number one on behalf of DLNR to do this to all the harbors, bays, inlets, whatever, around the islands. So Hawaii, we need your attention, and Governor, we need your attention, and we need you to address the problems that you have under you that are misserving our community. Now, I've done a lot of research on the Bay. I'm not going to go through all the details, but I've got over 4,000 data points I've taken over 2 years of time. Water quality, turbidity, salinity, all that stuff, plus 400 photographs. And some of the work is here, just a small fraction of it. So you want to see that. It documents facts. I gave these factual informations in picture and in written form to the engineer last time. And today I asked him, how come the EA did not address the turbidity of the water? Well, he said, well, I gave it to the engineers. So we have a factual problem, misrepresented, not represented by the EA, no significant finding. I have found in life, if you don't look for it, you won't find it. They didn't look for it, I guarantee you. Notwithstanding all this, we have a bigger problem. They have VMEs planned for our bay, vessels moored elsewhere. That's going to increase the traffic in our bay, not only from a one-to-one basis, but also commercial traffic, which means masses of people. We don't have facilities that can serve them, and every time we increase more capacity in that bay, we further the possibility of injury, damage, or whatever might happen. For those of you who read the EA, you learned that there was cited by the EA people one green turtle, endangered species. Well, a month ago, we saw that one turtle dead. A propeller had smashed its shell. It was floating in the water in the bay. That is not protection, and if we increase the number of boats, increase the number of traffic, that is going to happen more, and maybe even we might even have a swimmer's death because of it. We have some pamphlets here to have you, if you haven't written your letter, grab one of these. Here's a picture of that turtle with two outdrives next to it, and this is at the end of that pier that they're planning on putting 4 boats. Fact, I took the picture. Here's another one of a vessel being refueled. How many times do boats get refueled that we don't have a potential accident? And lastly, speaking of fuel, here's a picture of floating human feces off of the parking lot. A real deal accident happened, and if we increase more and more people using this bay, these kind of things are going to happen. So increasing the moorings, increasing the VMEs, which is a critical thing we haven't talked about, is going to endanger our bay far more than we understand. This is a boondoggle that needs to be stopped, and it can only be driven by money. They will not tell us what the money is or what the problem is or what the issue is. They just simply keep pushing and pushing. Even though we ask them specific, they will not give us the answer. We demand from the governor to know why they are pushing that plan on this bay as well as the state of Hawaii.
Thank you, Dennis. Bobby? Thank you. Following Bobby will be Mahina Pai, and I believe we have about 11 people left with about 15 minutes remaining, so thank you very much for your courtesies.
Aloha, my name's Bobby Command. I'm the Deputy Managing Director of the County of Hawaii. I'd like to read testimonia on behalf of Billy Kinoi, who would have been here tonight, except it's his oldest son's 18th birthday, so I think he made the right choice. The County of Hawaii strongly objects to the Department of Land and Natural Resources' proposal to install additional moorings at Keauhou Bay. To allow more moorings at an already crowded and overused Keauhou Bay is to encourage user conflict and further environmental degradation of this beautiful and sacred place. Keauhou Bay is looked upon by our residents as a vahipana, or special place, where healthy community activities such as swimming, canoe paddling, volleyball, family gatherings, and fishing have abounded for years. It is also treated by reverence by our host culture as a sacred and historic place, the birthplace of Kauikeaouli, or Kamehameha III. Our residents have been very accommodating in sharing this precious resource. In addition to the existing moorings, there's a wharf that allows commercial ocean recreation users to operate, and the only boat ramp between Kailua and Honaunau. A restaurant was also recently opened there, and the bay has been home to a popular canoe club for many years. All of this makes Keauhou a very busy place, significantly on weekends when it's not uncommon to see large gatherings of family and friends enjoying the bay. Make no mistake, the number of user conflicts that flare around Keauhou and Heia Bay steadily grows each year. To address this, the County of Hawaii has advocated the master planning of the area, a plan that takes into consideration the thoughts of all stakeholders is vital to the survival of this vulnerable resource. Piecemeal planning without looking at the bigger picture will only increase tensions at a place where people go to relax, recreate, and share aloha. We ask that you put this proposal aside until all stakeholders can gather to chart out a pono future for Keauhou Bay. And signed, Mayor Billy Kinoi.
Mahalo, Bobby. Once again, Mahina Pai, followed by John Moore and Tom Fetter.
Hello, Ohana. My name is Mahina Pai. I'm from this Aina. Been here for a while. I'm also speaking on behalf of my tutu and my beloved father-in-law, Poli, Louis Poli Alani, also Ohana for. We also, my father-in-law had gifted some aina to the Ohana community. It's called Keauhou Bay, or you may know it as a Ho'okena. But those are the old days. The new days is speaking here. Speaking of the Keauhou Bay or inlet, but yet we forget about the vested interest and the interested parties concerned. The ia, the fishes. I don't see the shrimp, the white pole shrimp there anymore. Also, all of the invertebrates there is all ohana, as well as the coral. And the water, Kauai. The vai is very important because without the water, or the cleanliness, or the purity of the water, all this is is for naught, non-existent. But again, Bay Inlet, this is the birthplace, a very special person. I call him Tutu, or Ali'i. Mahina, is his name, his nickname. Also, Brother Bobby Command shared. Our mayor cannot be here because of the son, but the daughter's name is Mahina as well. And my name is Mahina, so. Mahalo Keauhou, if I may. A 1839 Constitution, regarded as a Declaration of Rights. Both of the people, chiefs, God had made of one blood, all nations of men to dwell on the earth in unity and blessedness. God has also bestowed certain rights alike on all men and all chiefs and all people of all lands. These are some of the rights which he has given alike to every man, every chief, of correct deportment, life, liberty, freedom from oppression, the earnings of his hands, this is a good one, and the productions of his mind. Not, however, to those who act in violation of the laws. God has also established government and rule for the purpose of peace. But in making laws for the nation, it is by no means proper to enact laws for the protection of the rulers only, without also providing protection for their subjects. Neither is it proper to enact laws which enrich the chiefs only, without regard to enriching their subjects also. And hereafter there shall by no means be any laws enacted which are at variance with what is above expressed. Neither shall any tax be assessed, nor any service or labor required of any man in a manner which is at variance with the above sentiments. Protection of the people is declared by the king. The above sentiments are hereby published for the purpose of protecting alike both the people and the chiefs of all these islands, while they maintain a correct deportment, that no chief may be able to oppress any subject. And that's speaking for the fishes too. But that chiefs and people may enjoy the same protection under one and the same law. Protection is hereby secured to the persons of all the people together with their lands, their building lots, and their property, while they conform to the laws of the kingdom, and nothing whatever shall be taken from any individual except by express provision of the laws. Whatever chief shall act, whatever chief shall act perseveringly in violation of this Constitution shall no longer remain a chief of the Hawaiian Islands, and the same shall be true of the governor's officers and the land agents. But if anyone who has deposed should change his course and regulate his conduct by law, he shall then be in the power of the chiefs to reinstate him in the place he occupied previous to his being deposed. So we have to remember who we are first. We are here just temporarily. I not going to be here forever. Let's take care of that one first. That's where the vested party is. The Aina. Take care of Aina. Aina going to take care of us. How? Provide us with clean water, something to eat. Yes.
Mahalo. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 10 people left that wanted to speak and about 10 minutes left. So if you don't mind, Michael, I will take your word on that. And if you want to come up now.
My name is Michael Evans. My family has lived on the bay for more than 70 years. And I'd like to talk to you about the Anchialine system, the pond systems with the Opaiula that on the Kona coast are known to have 4 endemic and 3 endangered species listing candidates. And the Anchialine pool system on Keauhou Bay has never been studied. And it is on the brink of extinction from the type of coastal development plan that is being proposed here. There are many types of coastal development going on. And recently, the Sheraton put about 5 tons of concrete and rock down on the water without permits, with concrete seeping and pouring into the bay. And this is having a profound impact on these environments. And to my belief, they're close to extinction if we continue with this kind. And this environmental assessment, it takes the most sensitive system to this kind of coastal development, and it does not even consider their existence. This is the system that is 95% of these pools in Hawaii have already, the habitats have already been destroyed. And here you have a coastal development plan which does not even consider their presence. This is a gross oversight, and if you need me to write that you've missed an entire ecosystem, I'll write that down for you. I've said it before. And this is not, they found that they had no significant impact of this plan by not considering, not even mentioning in, what is this, 173 pages? The very existence of an entire ecosystem that they're most likely to damage. And I'll just leave it at that. So thank you.
I hate to be rude, but I have to be, because Virginia's husband is so I don't want to be rude, can't hear you, but I have to leave because Mr. Isabel is in the band down at Halehala Lights, so it's pretty late to stay out. Thank you very much for hearing.
Kupuna Ike. Thank you, Auntie Lily. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, again, we have John Moore, followed by Leanne. Did I go backwards on that? Sorry, come on up, Leanne. We'll see if John makes his way after.
Hey, aloha everyone. My name is Leanne Leslie. I'm a lineal and lineal descendant and a cultural practitioner every day at the Bay. This is my son, who also is a lineal descendant and a cultural practitioner every day at the Bay. I guess we did acknowledge that the EA is inadequate and impacts will occur if this does move forward. I think the one thing that hasn't been brought up, it was stated in the report that these 9 moorings are unpermitted. Are unpermitted. Therefore, the offshore moorings are unpermitted, although DLNR continues to issue out these permits, which would make them condoning unpermitted activities, which I have witnessed many people being penalized and for unpermitted activities. So basically, I can't understand why no consequences. Who exactly did install these unpermitted activities? Why were consequences and penalties or enforcement issued regarding these illegal installation of these moorings? Why are these moorings that are unpermitted continuing to be used without the appropriate mitigation or environmental studies that really need to occur? I basically support stop all this unpermitted activities. by law. I also do support no more additional moorings. I'm requesting, actually, the resolution to this is remove the unpermitted, start from square one, and then move forward. In addition to all the vessels that are attached to these unpermitted, also need to go through. Will they be impacting this environment, or will it have a cultural impact? Yes, obviously, a lot of the testimonies today we did hear, it will significantly impact. This is David, one of the youngest cultural practitioners in that bay today, who uses it every day, who knows a lot of the marine life by name, whether it's the turtles, the manta rays, whether we give them our own names. It is his classroom without walls, right? How do you feel about this? Do you want to say? He's a little shy, but we got to get him started at some point. Basically, it ends. I just want to end this as the dolphins, the mantas, the seals, the turtles, the coral, the fish, which this is their natural habitation, need Keauhou Bay clean and obstacle-free. Thank you very much.
And again, John Moore, are you still here? If not, I'm going to go ahead with Tom Fitter, followed by Representative Nicole Lowen.
Keauhou, thank you very much. My wife and I have been coming here for the past 20 years. 2.5 years ago, we bought a home on the north shore of the inlet of Keauhou. And I don't think it's a harbor, I think it's an inlet. I want to first say that if I was here to vote, I would vote for Keauhou for whatever office he wanted to run for. You have done a fabulous job today. It's a very difficult thing. I won't repeat what everything has been said. Obviously, I think we all must agree that the EA was inadequate, inadequately prepared. Looking back, I think the DLNR viewed Keauhou Inlet, Keauhou Bay, as a soft target. I talked to Ed today, Ed Underwood. I asked the same question he's been asked, and the answer was, I was really pushed by the requirement for the certification of our mooring system to be in accord with the U.S. Army Department Corps of Engineers requirements. Well, this is something the federal government is trying to tell people here in Hawaii how to moor their boats. There are no places in the United States other than South Florida that have the kind of substrate that exists here. I think the conversion of what has been permitted by the state but lacks a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers federal national permit, the conversion from one to the other is going to be very costly. I'm not sure it's necessary. The fact that we have, I have a mooring in California that has a train wheel as the base for it. Here that's criticized, and I don't think there's a basis for that. I told Ed I would try to find out how the island of Catalina off California doesn't have to have this U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permitting for their moorings. I urge that this, the DNLR started this whole thing thinking they could slide by without an EA. They only did one because they were forced to do it, and the one they did was very inadequate. And I hope that either this draft process, which Keauhou has outlined initially, he's here to hear what comments come forward. And I hope that he listens to these comments and that the EA is either substantially improved or dropped. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Following Representative Lowen, we have Barry Willis and Captain Jack Ross. And I apologize, as you can see the clock, we're really coming down to the wire. I would ask for your indulgence. Mahalo.
All right, thank you. I'll keep this really brief and try to say some things that haven't been said. Thank you. I want to thank Keauhou for really making us feel like you're really listening. But really quickly, speaking for myself, I have not heard from almost anyone in the community that supports this. And we've heard repeatedly from Dobor that there is a quote-unquote silent majority out there that wants these moorings in Keauhou, but I've heard from hundreds of people, not just the canoe club, not just the businesses in the bay, and it's almost unanimously in opposition. And I feel like I can comfortably speak for also Representative Cregan and Senator Green that they've had the same experience. So that's the first thing I want to say. Secondly, there's always going to be a waiting list for moorings. There's always going to be more boaters and more people. And while I understand the need to try to meet the needs of some of these people, there's never going to be a final solution where we can install enough moorings to give everyone who has a boat and wants a mooring. So we can't just clutter up every inlet and bay and harbor, small boat harbor we have in the state with recreational moorings. We need to start thinking about alternative solutions to how we can meet this need, whether it's more parking or storage or spaces for boat trailers on land. So this is just a really short-sighted approach. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Captain Jack Ross. Is that who I called? I think. Forgive me. Who did I call before? Barry Willis. My apology, Barry. Come on up.
I noticed in the pictures over there's 3 suggestions how it's going to be. There should be a 4th. Nothing. Do nothing. Keauhou Bay versus the government is the theme of this today. The purpose of this public comment meeting, we are told, is for the state of Hawaii to refine its plan to modify Keauhou Bay to its purposes, its own purposes. I suggest that the purpose of this meeting is to get the state to finally understand that their planned changes at Keauhou Bay are not only unwanted, they are unneeded, excessively expensive, and an abuse of the public trust. That's you and me, folks. The bottom line is that adding more boats to an already crowded public swimming and paddling area, which is one of the most cherished historic locations on the Big Island, is a terrible idea, which is insensitive not only to historic Hawaii, it's the birthplace of King Kamehameha III, but also to the people who use the bay today, our keiki. If the state has its way, it'll be just another example of how the government can reach out anywhere it chooses, is arrogant enough to impose its will upon us, the little guys, and then thumb its noses at us as if to say, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Their environmental assessment statement says that the government plan has no significant impact. Well, what can we expect by a governmental organization which was hired by another governmental organization to do the report? The EA people, I suggest, are mere puppets of the massive government which will do anything or say anything in spite of tremendous concern by the people who say that the government is absolutely wrong by doing this. There are 3 governmental organizations trying to force their will upon us: DLNR, the Department of Boating and Ocean Recreation, and those conducting this EA statement. What this boils down to is our government, with its workers who sit in distant offices far from Keauhou Bay, get paid to do bureaucratic things like this. These bureaucratic government workers somehow think they can make better local decisions than we people who actually use the facility. I say facility because that's the way the government sees Keauhou Bay. We locals, the swimmers, the paddlers, the picnickers, volleyball players, see it differently. We see it personally. Why? Because we are Hawaii, not a bunch of bureaucrats sitting in a big air-conditioned office in a different part of our state. We locals are the ones who love the bay, enjoy the bay, enjoy the volleyball courts, enjoy the monthly potlucks and regular regattas held here. The government people who are responsible for making these decisions never been here, though they've sent their engineers to look it over. I'm almost finished. If the government executes its plan, we will lose the friendly bay that we've enjoyed for the past 100 or so years. It will never be the same for kids swimming with their parents for the first time, for paddle boarders trying to stay upright on their new boards for the first time, for the racing paddlers practicing their full speed 180-degree turns around a buoy so that they can win the next regatta for the world famous Keauhou Canoe Club. The bay is already crowded for the 6-man canoe competitors trying to navigate between the moored boats in order to get to the turnaround buoy. Additional moorings would make this practicing impossible. The Keauhou Canoe Club is the largest recreational canoe club in the world. People from all over the world use our facilities and our bay, then return home to tell others in their country about the delightful experience they had with our club. The tourism promoted by the Keauhou Club and this bay cannot be overstated. This is especially noticeable during the Ironman event. The participants of the race show up the day after the event. Those superb athletes absolutely love the relaxation they get exercising a different set of muscles and they've used so well for the big race. They love the water and they are the people who are respectful to our Aina and our paddling traditions. The club serves a purpose of incredible goodwill. If the club and its paddlers were forced to disappear, it is Hawaii and its tourist industry which would suffer economically. But why is the government trying to do this? Is it just to put a few boats in there so they can rent some more space to boat owners, which can increase the government coffers? Perhaps. But having a government manage a pleasure and recreation facility like Keauhou Bay would absolutely ruin the bay, and as we all know, the government is not known for efficient managing of its facilities. They would charge exorbitant fees to install new moorings, and they would never get their money back out of the costs. And it would generate huge amounts of ill will toward the government. I suggest it already has, as you can see by the people who have spoken here. The actions of these bureaucrats would destroy our delightful bay. They should never be allowed to bring up this terrible idea again. It is bad for tourism. It would destroy the friendly aloha which the Keauhou Canoe Club has shown to people throughout the years. It would kill a vital tourism aspect of the bay. Allow me to remind you that it is not the government's money they are using for this project. It is ours. The money they plan to spend belongs to both you and me. We need to remind those bureaucrats that they are not spending government money, but our money. They have a responsibility to spend our money according to our directives. Those bureaucrats have been told time and time again that we locals do not want this. I don't know why they keep coming back and want to ruin our beautiful bay, but they keep coming back. Instead of this project, they should use the money to fix access roads, seawalls, piers, rather than inconvenience thousands of tourists, paddlers, and swimmers for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Ladies and gentlemen, we had 3 people left that wanted to comment, and I apologize profusely that we don't have time remaining. Captain Jack, I think I mentioned his name, if he's still here. What I would like to humbly ask, well, number one is to remind you to please provide us written comments so it's part of the record. But specifically, there's Joan Byers, Melissa Bambi, thank you, Dr. Rick Bennett. Actually, the 3 of you had asked to speak, and I apologize that we've run out of time. But this is what I'd like to ask, if I may. I'm happy to contact the 3 of you personally on Monday, to call you myself and hear your thoughts by phone, if that's acceptable to you. Thank you so much. And so with that, Captain Jack, are you still here? No? Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the department, thank you very much for coming and being able to share your mana'o tonight. Please provide us comments. Again, thank you so much. Drive home safely.